Today's live is a juicy one because we are talking about performance anxiety specifically inside our hypnosis sessions, as well as getting to the root cause faster and what happens if a client seems to be unresponsive with all the techniques that we're using inside our sessions. So, we're going to begin. There's actually going to be three questions that have to do with the topic today, and we're going to go through them right away. So, first question is, how do we get to the root cause faster inside our hypnosis sessions? Well, I'm going to give you three main principles and three tips that you can use today so that during your next client session, you can use it right away so that you can get to the root faster. Your transformations are going to be better. So, the very, very, very first one is to stop assuming that we know what the root cause is. Stop making conclusions as to what we think our client's root cause is. Because truth of the matter is, how can we know that for 100% certainty, right? We can't because we are not inside our client's minds. It is up to us to help them find the root themselves. And so if we assume, and an example of this is that maybe we have learned through our hypnosis career and through our trainings that everything stems from us not feeling good enough, right? I was taught that. And although that is true in some ways, it's not always true. Right. And so if we assume that everyone feels not good enough, and in some level we do, but if we steer our sessions there at that moment in time with that particular client, with that particular problem, that might not be the root. And even if a client does mention that they don't feel good enough about something, that is actually just a superficial level as well, feeling not good enough, right? There's a reason. There's still an unconscious driver underneath that as to why they feel that way. That's not really the root. That's more like the stem or something, right? So when we stop assuming uh, that we know better than our client's mind, then this actually sets us up for success because then we're not going to steer the session into a direction that the client does not need to be in or won't. We're going to not, we're going to steer the, when we assume we have the potential to steer the client in a direction that the problem may not be in, right? Like it's going here, whereas we definitely need to be going here in our session. So when before you go to our session, just be, which is the number two tip, is be curious. Just be curious as to what our clients are telling us consciously and unconsciously. So when we're curious, we're just taking a step back and we are talking to our clients about the problem or investigating their problem. One of the best things that we can do is just to keep an open mind and kind of like I tell my conversational hypnosis students is like pretend that you don't know anything. Like pretend that you don't know a client, even though they're colleagues of yours. Pretend that you do not know this person, and you're meeting them for the very, 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 very first time, and you're literally just curiously asking them questions. Because when we come from this place, again, we don't steer, right? Like for example, if I were to have a session with one of my best friends, for example, and I know she has a daughter, right? But if I were to, come from that knowing that I already know her, I could, and knowing what her life experiences are, I could potentially steer the direction into what I think the problem is instead of what the actual problem is because I'm assuming that I know better, which is not going to be good for that friend, right? And it's the same for our clients. When we are just curious and would take a step back, even though if it's our second or third session with this client, start from the beginning because really this is what allows for more things to open up. We've been in conversations with others where we're trying to tell a story and they're trying to finish the our sentences or try to assume what we're going to talk about is, but that's like they're wrong and it's not really what we want to talk about, and that's highly irritating, right? Like we're doing the same thing for our clients. So when we're really just being curious and again, pretend you don't know shit, right? Pretend that you are just talking and you're just allowing for that natural process, allowing for the client to just naturally come up with the things that are linked and associated with our problem. That is what's going to help us get to the root faster. And really also, this is a big principle. The third tip with how to get to the root cause faster is to slow down in order to speed up. And I know sometimes, depending on your business model, maybe you've just booked a client for an hour and there seems to be that urgency and that rush. That sense of urgency and sense of rush could be read by our clients and unconsciously, which can increase their resistance, right? Or stress them out. And if we're stressed out, we know that again resistance, and we're not as creative with our answers, and we're not as likely to look for and open up if we feel like we're being rushed. And so definitely slow down to speed up. This is one of the biggest things that I tell my students. Slow down. Like, don't be an FBI investigator in your questions. Yes, we are investigating the problem, but like just question after questioning after questioning, like an FBI agent isn't really going to help our clients. And this is actually one of the things that I used to do. And there was a recorded session of me being like an FBI client because I was just too excited and all of that. But really, taking a step back, pausing and slowing our sessions, because then that will also mirror for our clients for them to slow down as well. So those are definitely the three top tips for your next session. Make sure that you do not assume by maintaining curiosity and slowing down, because that is what will help you speed up. So I hope that makes sense. And then the next question is, what do you do in a session when a client doesn't respond to relaxation, regression protocols, or other techniques? This is a great one because I definitely used to get really stressed about this, right? Because I was trained in regressive techniques. And there were some clients where they would just have a black or blank memory, or they wouldn't feel any emotion, or when I would, ask them to do some parts, they wouldn't really understand what I was talking about, or, I think I mentioned this already, but like they wouldn't be in tune with their feelings. Or they have a hard time relaxing and they're still fidgety, and then they're like, oh my God, I don't think it's working. And it can get really messy. So, what do you do in that situation? Like maybe you've done, 3 to 5 of the protocols already, but the client still isn't responding. First of all, this is actually either not your fault or not the client's fault either. So let's work with the client first. Some like I've actually seen some hypnotherapists blame the client for this, which is not right because some clients just do not do well with the regressive and forced relaxation techniques. That's just a fact. They have a hard time relaxing if they're hypervigilant, and you ask them to relax and close their eyes. It can seem more threatening than safe to them. And if someone feels threatened, they're not going to respond. So that's not really a client's fault per se. It's just a matter of that client not responding to that technique because their particular uniqueness as a person doesn't respond well. That's just not how their brain works, right? I don't do well with visualization and seeing colors in my mind. So if you ask me what color it is, I'll be like, I don't know. I don't know what color it is. I have trouble seeing that in my mind. So it's the same thing for our clients. So first of all, that's normal. And of course, it's not really our complete fault either, because this is just how we were taught. We were taught techniques instead of principles in a lot of the trainings. So take a step back and to answer the question of what do we do when a client doesn't respond to a technique is really to just pause again and take a step back and go back to the basic. Go back to the basic principles of how we create transformations. And we can really just start this off very simply by a conversation, right? So if the client isn't relaxing, or isn't regressing, we can take a step back and say, hey, how are you feeling right now? I know that, you probably are not seeing any memories. You're still a bit fidgety and anxious. What is going on right now? And through that conversation, that is going to really also start moving the needle forward for you. It's going to start some movement instead of clients being stuck. Because if you can only see it from the client's perspective, someone comes to you because they really want to change, and then they come in and maybe they're not very visual, um, or they can't see scenes, and then they feel more hopeless, right? So once we take a step, and this is not about us, of course, as the hypnotist. So when we just pause and take a step back and just allow for a natural conversation to happen, then it can also reduce the resistance, and it reduces that feeling from the client of the client going, "Oh my God, I don't know if it's working. Am I doing this right?" And this is a pretty normal thought that our clients would have inside our hypnosis sessions, right? Am I doing this right? Am I visualizing the beach? Am I supposed to see the beach, right? And that's why in our advanced conversational hypnosis sessions, we don't really force our clients to relax or regress. We utilize what our clients are giving us instead of taking them the traditional route, which is why the resistance is so much less, which is why our sessions are faster, because we don't force clients to go where they don't want to go at that moment. We utilize how their unique unconscious mind presents itself, because there's a whole multitude of ways that the unconscious mind expresses itself other than visualization, regression, or whatever protocols we have used. So I hope that helped. Take a step back, pause, go back to the basic principles, have a conversation, look at it from a client's perspective. They're probably in some weird distress, not weird, but they're probably in some distress if what we're doing isn't working and they really want to change. So look at it from their perspective. This is not about us, it's about the client. So focus on. All right. Last question. Any tips on how to deal with performance anxiety before, during, and after hypnosis sessions? So I love this question because this is so good. Performance anxiety can be a really big thing inside our hypnosis sessions, especially if our clients have paid us, right? There's that sense of responsibility, and especially for our advanced conversational hypnosis sessions, we have a very different pricing model compared to other hypnotherapy pricing models. We charge for results, and we charge premium prices for our session. Not really, and we don't sell sessions, we sell results for the results. And so it's quite normal, first of all, to feel that performance anxiety. But really how we can deal with that is, of course, focusing again on the client instead of us. We feel this performance anxiety because we feel the need to perform, and we feel that need to be validated when we're going into our sessions. So really our own personal development and doing and using our own tools for ourselves whenever we feel this is highly, highly, highly beneficial. And so, if you are someone who is feeling performance anxiety, how do you regulate yourself before the sessions? How can you consistently have this routine? It doesn't even need to be hours, it could be like a 5-minute routine that you can do before your session. This is what I do, like 5 to 10 minutes before my sessions. I'm not doing anything, everything is turned off, notifications are off, and I just focus on present moment. So have that. And during, if again you during your session, if the client doesn't respond, then you're feeling that performance anxiety, regulate yourself in that present moment and take a step back, and then focus on the client. The client is there for to have our help, right? This ain't about us, this is about the client. Just focus your attention on the client and helping the client in front of you instead of worrying about yourself. And of course, after the sessions, it's okay to look back and see, oh shit, I could have done that better. These are the things that I could have asked my client. This is how I could have set my client up for success. Like that is actually good and healthy process to reflect on the sessions and see on what you can improve on. That's very admirable. So that is good. And that actually can help with performance anxiety, because if you're coming from a place of growth and learning, then that anxiety to perform will no longer be there, because you are coming from a place of growth and getting better instead of beating yourself up. So really the one of the best things that we can do for ourselves if we're feeling the performance anxiety is to first of all use our own tools for ourselves to regulate our nervous system before, during, and after our sessions, as well as sometimes it just takes practice, right? Practice, get better at the craft, and and it will come with time. And really, when we feel that, like, that internal pressure, obviously do the work with the tools that you have, as well as when you're in your client session at that present moment, shift your attention from your internal state to them. I mean, if you can regulate right then and there, it's obviously a lot better, because then they can start feeling our anxiety too. So regulate your own nervous system, and then focus on your clients and helping them, because that is what it truly is about, right? And so there is something very, very exciting that's happening this week. It's happening on December 1st if you're in Australia like me, but it's happening on Thursday the 30th, which is the ultimate advanced conversational hypnosis experience, where you get to see in your very own eyes a real client with a real problem, using advanced conversational hypnosis principles as the transformation. And this is really a great event for you if you are someone who is looking for an easier method, a more simpler method, a method that is based on principles that are not reliant on techniques. If you want to get to your client's root cause faster, if you have been finding that your clients are responding to your current techniques, or just want to improve your client outcomes, then this is definitely for you, because then you can see if it would be a right fit for you and your clients. Sometimes it's not a great thing for yourself or your clients, but at least you will have that knowing for sure to see if this method would be best for you. It's very simple, it's very fast, very effective, and the results stand the test of time. So right now, in this present moment, tickets to this event is free. So make sure you RSVP. The spots are filling up, and I'm only capping it to a certain amount because it is a real client with a real problem, and we want to respect that client's confidentiality and privacy. And we are talking about money blocks. So if you have money block issues, then I would actually recommend you also joining it, because you may experience a transformation yourself. So if you have any questions at all with regarding to helping your clients faster, improving your hypnosis and coaching skills so that you can make more impact and then income, then definitely drop them off here, because I can feature them on the next live. Otherwise, I will see you later.